Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, guys. Thank you. We're here the day after Christmas, which means Christmas was yesterday. Today is a new day, but guess what? I still want to celebrate Christmas. Let's start off this evening with a salute to the United States of America. I would ask everybody to please rise now for the singing of the United States National Anthem. God bless America. Every night we give a salute to the United States with the Star-Spangled Banner. Someone here doesn't like it. I'm sorry. Okay? Yes, I simply do Star-Spangled Banner as well as the Pledge of Allegiance. But I occasionally do this. Okay? I just want you to know that. Occasionally I do something more lengthy because I love the United States of America and this is my show. Okay? If you don't like what I do, I'm sorry. Okay? That's the way it is. Okay? Plain and simple. My show, my house, my rules. I'm sorry some people don't like it. I played that because it was a beautiful rendition of the national anthem. 2 verses. There's actually 3 verses to the United States national anthem. Maybe I ought to go find a group playing that or singing that. Maybe I ought to do that. But I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. I want to welcome everybody to our show tonight. Before we get started, YouTube is again unsubscribing people. We've now lost over 12, 13 people to YouTube unsubscribing people. I would ask everyone here to please, if you like the show that we do, please give us a thumbs up because that figures into the YouTube algorithm whether YouTube is going to let anybody watch our program or not. Number 2, please subscribe to our program. Please subscribe to our program. 25% of the people that watch this program are not subscribed. Subscribe to this program, and when you do, right next to the subscription button, there's a little bell icon. Click on that little bell icon. When you do that, a drop-down menu of 3 items is going to appear. When you see that, click on the word all, A-L, all. That represents all of the programs that we have here. Okay? So when you click on that, you'll be subscribed and notified when we come on the air. Click on ALL, that should get you notified to all the programs when we come on the air. But be advised, YouTube does not always abide by what they're saying. So you may not get notified. But between 6 and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, we come on the air. Occasionally it's later than that because YouTube plays games. Earlier tonight, I tried to get on the air just before 6 o'clock, and I had issues. Okay? Not my issues, but everybody else. Okay? Meaning YouTube. So please know that we come on the air. We try to be on the air between 6 and 7 p.m. tonight. Okay? We did. We made that. So please, guys, please subscribe to our program. Please click on the notification bell so you get notified, and click on the like, meaning a thumbs up, so you'll be into the YouTube algorithm that lets YouTube know that someone appreciates this program. Okay? We appreciate that. Linda just gave us a super chat, a $50 super chat. Thank you for that, Linda. I'm giving you an EMA sticker on your super chat, and I'm also giving you a thumbs up, a like. Thank you so much for that support for our program. We appreciate that ever so much. God bless you for that super chat. God bless everybody who tries to support or does support this program with super chats, or you send donations over to our PayPal or our Venmo location. You can see that in the top of the program description right below this program today. Okay? You can see our PayPal and our Venmo locations there if you decide to support the program that way. Now, I want to also make a mention of this. You see our address scrolling beneath on the bottom of this program today on the video. Our address is 104 North Green Street, Box 105. Morganton, North Carolina, 28655. You can also send us a donation through there. Send us a card and a letter. Let us know how you're doing. Okay? We'd love to hear that you are going through and making preparations for emergencies. I think that's essential. That's one of the reasons we have Emergency Preparedness Fridays. Okay? We'd love that. I want to thank everybody who supports this program. I love you very much, guys. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to Carol and I, knowing that you support this program. During this last week and a half, we've gotten some Christmas cards I've shown you on the broadcast. Some of you slipped donations in there, which we greatly appreciate. When you talk about your preparations or how you're doing in your life, Carol and I love to read those things. It means a lot to me and a great deal to Carol. Please, though, please send us cards and letters. We'd love to see that. Okay? One of the things you see tonight, okay, if you go over to YouTube, it shows a picture right before you click on it. It shows a picture of something very important. Okay? I want to show you something else. Okay? Now, I want to thank Demon Catman for this picture. I'm going to show it to you in just a second here. Demon Catman took our picture here and made a meme that's very important. Okay? I'm going to share that with you right now in just a second so that I can find it again. I put it on the outside part of our program so anybody that goes into this program tonight is going to see it. It shows a gopher. Okay? It shows a gopher. Now, it's kind of funny that he did that. Okay? This picture right here. Okay? The Gopher Mining Company Incorporated, working in partnership with the USGS. Okay? Now let me enlarge this so you can see what's going on here. Ralph, what's the agency want in this sector of earthquake? Explosions or earthquakes? Let's see. Explosion. I'll get the chargers. Okay? Remember that. Remember that. When we see a diamond shape on the USGS map, that diamond shape means it's either a quarry blast or an explosion. Okay? Many times it's neither. Okay? It's neither. They are either earthquakes or tremors. However, the USGS tries to put those diamond shapes up as possibly an explosion. Okay? It's not. Okay? I jokingly have called it, okay, a spontaneous combustus carnivorous, an exploding tree. Okay? But USGS is a bunch of idiots. Okay? They're a bunch of clowns. They want us to believe that anything possible could be a quarry blast. It's not. Okay? It's not spontaneous combustus carnivorous either. They're tremors and or earthquakes. But USGS would have us to believe, oh, it's an explosion. Really? An explosion? Right in the middle of a cotton-picking forest? That's where they mostly are. Right in the middle of a desert. Unreal. One of my favorite things is the middle of a residential area in Chula Vista, California. Okay? We've seen a lot of diamond shapes there. That only means USGS is guessing at it again. If we see a diamond shape in the middle of Chula Vista, California in a residential neighborhood, it means USGS is out of their minds. Plain and simple. It's a spontaneous combustus house, a spontaneous combustus shopping mall, or whatever. Okay? But Demon Catman made me this meme, and I want to show it to you, and I'm using it on the outside of our program. Yes, it might get some people to thinking, what has Ron been doing? Okay? I haven't been doing anything, but we have a lot of wonderful people here in the Emergency Management Associates family, and they've taken matters into their own hands to explain Spontaneous combustus carnivorous. We appreciate that. Thank you, Demon Catman, for putting this together. I've been meaning to show this on our program for a little while now. He made this for me a couple months ago, but I want to show it to you now. That's so cool. It's really cool. Something else I want to show you, okay? In just a second, I'm going to come in and talk about Hawaii, over at Kilauea, Holly Mau Mau crater in Kilauea, okay? Kilauea stopped erupting. Kilauea has actually stopped erupting. Let me show you this. Okay? This is all that's going on at Kilauea today. This is Holly Mau Mau crater. Holly Mau Mau crater is a hole in the ground that Kilauea is in. The Kilauea volcano is in Holly Mau Mau crater. All that's happening here is the remnants of the eruption that happened the day before Christmas. Well, actually, it happened on Christmas Eve. Okay? Right now, all we have is a lot of sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide being emitted from the crater. That's what's left of the eruption at Kilauea. Now, with that said, that does not mean that Kilauea is going to stop erupting. It means it's only paused. Okay? The sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide plume that you see here is a pause in the actual eruption. There's a very good possibility it will start again. Okay? For those intimately following the undulations of Kilauea's temperament, in its recent eruption that began on Christmas Eve, the eruption has ceased, albeit temporarily. As reported by the Hawaii Volcano Observatory earlier this morning, the seismic tremors have also decreased markedly at this time. And I'm going to say that at this time. It does not mean that the eruption has stopped. It has decreased markedly. Okay? The tremors, that is. On the map today, there are no tremors or earthquakes anywhere near Kilauea. I'm going to show you that map in a minute. Okay? But this pause echoes the brevity of an earlier cessation this week that came to be more suddenly. The Kilauea volcano's second display of power endured for over 24 hours, outlasting the initial episode from Monday, which lasted just half the time. Scientists at the USGS have issued their usually prescient reminder that this repose could abruptly end and volcanic activity might promptly resume. Okay? The volcanic activity could promptly resume. The USGS is keeping a vigilant eye on the shifts of the activity at Kilauea. Mother Earth beneath Hawaii Island continues to orchestrate its display of force. Now, as it does that, residents in the area, especially near Hawaii Volcano National Park, need to brace for further demonstrations of Pele's power. Okay? Pele is the goddess of eruptions. Okay? Pele, over in Hawaii, is the goddess of volcanic eruptions. Okay? Along with the end of activity. The stunning lava we showed you the other day drew many viewers. Okay? Lava was seen retreating back into the earth early this morning and was barely visible on the USGS live stream earlier this morning. The lava was draining back into the vent, and that's where you see the steam plume coming from the vent. Okay, the lava ceased erupting. And now all we have here is the display of sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide gases escaping from the volcano. Okay? And at this same time, if you remember my description of a tilt meter, okay, all tilt meters are a machine that shows the ground rising or falling. The ground rising or falling in the area where the volcano or the magma is. Okay? the tilt meter started recording inflation rather than deflation. When the volcano was actually erupting, the tilt meters actually showed deflation of the volcano, deflation of the magma beneath the ground. Now, since the magma has stopped forcing its way up above the ground, which makes it lava, now the tilt meters are showing inflation, meaning the magma is growing underneath the ground. The magma is forcing its way above the ground. It's not above the ground right now. This observation yields particularly importance for volcanic monitoring. The National Park Service is also closely monitoring the situation that has raised concerns about volcanic gas emissions affecting air quality both within the park and the surrounding communities. Okay? Hawaii residents near the park are urged to stay vigilant. They need to stay updated on air quality around the volcano, and they need to remain alert to any changes from the volcano at Kilauea. As the island continues to change with its volcanic activity, the residents also need to be aware of everything going on around them. If the situation changes, then we may see a marked increase in sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide gases. Carbon dioxide is odorless, and so is sulfur dioxide. Okay, sulfur dioxide, you may smell a small air or odor of eggs. Sulfur dioxide is the egg smell. Okay, you might smell that, and if that's the case, and it's heavy sulfur dioxide in the area, you may need to leave the area, or in the very least, stay indoors and close your windows. Okay? Stay indoors and close your windows. Does anybody have any questions about that? I'm very happy to answer any questions when it comes to this activity here. I've kept pretty good touch with the volcanic activity at Kilauea. Richard Smith says, wants to plug. Yeah. If only there was a plug. There's not. Unfortunately, there's no plug of any of the volcanoes. And if there was, all it would do is launch the plug back into the air, because the violence of the activity beneath the ground would make it erupt even higher. Okay? That would really cause a wild party. Okay? That would cause a wild party. Now, Charlene Savant says, or is talking, I guess, Ruthie, she says she's in southern Louisiana, but her ancestors are from Nova Scotia, Maine, and however, it's a state I've always wanted to see. Now, I've not been in Maine yet. That's one of the states I have not been in. Okay? I know it's beautiful because I've seen pictures there. It's absolutely stunning up there. Richard Smith says, could the whole site ever go off all at once? Possibly. It's not likely because there are so many craters in the ground. There are so many craters that I don't think it would erupt all at once. I don't think any one single crater would erupt all at once. There are many craters that are volcanic. Okay? Pu'u'o, just to the southeast of Kilauea, Pu'u'o has been erupting as well. But right now, Pu'u'o is silent. But there have been many other craters all around the Big Island. And yes, they have erupted. Okay? Over to the west of Kilauea, we have Mauna Loa. Mauna Loa is one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world. To the north of Mauna Loa, we have Mauna Kea. There's actually more activity at Mauna Kea than there is Mauna Loa. But right now, USGS is not showing any activity on the map, which is false. They should be showing the activity at the map. Okay? For them not to do that is a lie of omission. It's a lie of omission. Okay? Them not being honest with us means they're lying to everybody. They are lying to everybody. Ruthie says, come to Maine. I would love to do that. I would love to do that, especially during the summer. Okay? Up that far north, they have a lot of daylight. Okay? Yes, there's still nighttime at that latitude, but as you get further north and north and north, the sun doesn't ever go down during the summertime. There's a period of time when the sun doesn't set. It remains at the horizon, then it goes right back up. And it's cool. I've seen that in Sweden. I've seen that in Sweden a lot, in fact. It's a lot of fun to see that. But does anybody have any more comments about Kilauea before I get going here again? Anybody? I know a lot about the volcanoes on Hawaii. I know a lot about the volcanoes all around the world. Okay? It's something that I've kept up with most of my life. George Rashad, welcome, brother. Appreciate you being here. George Rashad is over in California. Okay? Over in California. Now, since we're not going to talk about Hawaii for the time being, I want to show you something else. Let's see here. Don't let me do that. I sure don't like it when YouTube plays games with us. That bothers me to no cotton picking end. Just a second here. It drives me crazy when YouTube pulls these kinds of things. Come on, let me do this. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. There we go. I think I'm going to be able to do it. There we are. I want to talk about President Trump. Some of you have had questions about what's going on in Washington, D.C. Again, I want to tell you this. Biden has hardly been in Washington at all. Okay? He's supposedly there. Before Christmas last week, Biden and Kamala Harris were supposed to return from wherever they were at. Kamala Harris was en route to California to have one of her Kamala rallies with all her rich movie star people and such. Biden was over in Delaware on his way to the Virgin Islands to rest and recreate before he gets taken out of office by the inauguration. Now, allegedly they've come back to D.C., but nobody's seen him. Okay? Good old Biden was supposed to sign the temporary agreement to keep the government running. Okay? Congress passed it. It went to Biden for signature, but we've not heard whether Biden signed it or not. Okay? I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with President Trump. He's had key posts that he's said that he's going to achieve. He set goals for his next 4 years. He set goals for day one of what he's going to want to achieve on January 20th. Number one, he says we are going to stop U.S. involvement in external wars that were entered into recklessly. External wars in Ukraine. Trump has always said that if he had been president, that Putin would not have even dared launch a war into Ukraine. Second, on October 7th last year, Hamas and other benefactors from ISIS attacked Israel from the south. That would not have happened if President Trump was president. Okay? This was allowed to have happen because of Biden. Okay? Second, President Trump has said we will initiate the largest deportation operation in U.S. history. We will initiate the largest deportation of illegal aliens in history. Why? Because during the Biden administration for the past 4 years, Biden opened up the southern border. As we know, we've talked about that on this program before. Biden opened up the southern border and allowed over 20 to 25 million illegal aliens into this country. Probably 1 million of those illegals are gangsters. 1 million of those illegals are gangsters. Okay? They're terrorists. They're terrorists. And one of the biggest things that Trump is going to do on day one, within the first 2 hours after he takes oath of office. The border czar, Mr. Homan, Tom Homan, he's going to initiate the largest deportation activity in history. Now, there are some governors, including from Minnesota, Wisconsin, California, Washington, and Oregon, that are defying President Trump's order. President Trump's order was this: there's not going to be any more migrating status into various states or cities. No more sanctuary cities or sanctuary states. There are governors that said they're going to try to stop President Trump from deporting these illegals. Tom Homan is telling those governors, those mayors, if you get in our way, we're going to arrest you. Okay? If you get in our way, we are going to arrest you. Total Vagabonds is in our chat. Welcome, Total Vagabonds. We haven't seen you in a while. Total Vagabonds is a great friend of our program. He's from Ireland. We appreciate you being here, friend. God bless you. Merry Christmas. We're glad to see you here. Juby Joe says she's filled with joy right now. I hope you are as well. We appreciate you. Anyway, President Trump is going to initiate the largest deportation operation in our U.S. history. More aliens will be deported within a very short time after he takes office. Tom Homan and President Trump have said they're going to go after the terrorists, they're going to go after the gangs, the criminals, including the ones that have killed U.S. citizens and who have killed U.S. police officers. It will not be tolerated. There's a zero tolerance for any gang or anyone who kills a U.S. citizen or who kills the United States police officer. It will not be tolerated. Okay? I want to make that clear. Okay? Heidi Petrick just gave us another $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Heidi. God bless you. We appreciate that so much. Thank you. Juby Joe just gave us another $20 super chat too. Juby Joe, thank you so much. I just gave you a EMA sticker, I'm giving you a thumbs up as well. Unfortunately, I don't know why that Heidi Petrick Super Chat did not allow us to give her a super sticker from our sticker library here, but we appreciate you guys supporting our program like you do. God bless you for that. Anyway, that's wonderful. Total Vagabonds says, God bless, always a pleasure. Trump is a man to sort a lot of the mess out. I totally agree. And that's exactly what President Trump has promised, and he's already been doing it. Okay? Trump has given us promises, and he's carried through with those promises in the past, and he's going to do it again. He's already been working on it, and he's not even the president of the hour. President Trump is acting more presidential than Biden has for the past 4 years. Trump is taking actions to make sure our country survives, to make sure the residents of this country and other countries are going to know who's in charge, and hopefully make everybody's life better. Okay? Now, one of the other things that's come up very recently is the Panama Canal was given away by the United States with Jimmy Carter as president, gave away the Panama Canal to the country of Panama for $1 during the Carter administration. It is unacceptable that American vessels, including our military, pay huge high tolls to pass through it. The United States government built that canal in Panama. The United States government got our people down there to build that canal. 38,000 Americans died building that canal. 38,000 lives were lost building that canal. Why? The fever. Remember that tiny little mosquito biting those men and women? Guess what? 39,000 people died building that canal. And now, since Carter gave it to Panama to run, Panama has been charging exorbitant fees for our vessels to go through the canal. The canal is easy transport and short time period transport for our vessels from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific. Okay? That's what the canal was built for. And yet Panama is trying to stop our vessels from going from one water to the other. And that's going to stop. The United States will regain control of the Panama Canal within short order as soon as President Trump is inaugurated as President of the United States. President Trump says, quote, "We will demand its return to U.S. hands." Demand its return to the United States hands. Okay? Now, number 4 out of 7 items. He says he's informed senior Mexican officials that the immigration situation at the border is unacceptable. Okay? Mexico allowing illegal aliens to flow unfettered into the United States, it's going to stop. And senior Mexican officials had slowed it down, if not stopped it already. The other issue is this. Good old Biden. When he opened up the border, he also instituted selling pieces of border fence that had not been put up before Trump left office. He's sold the border fence for as little as $5 per piece. $5 a piece. Sections of that fence normally went for $35,000 to $50,000 a piece. And yet Biden, to try to stop Trump from from building the fence again has sold pieces of the fence off for scrap. However, there are construction people loyal to the president. There are construction people loyal to the president in California, and also they're loyal to President Trump in California, Arizona, and Texas. These people have bought the fence back and are putting it on federal property to stop Biden from selling it off. The fence that has already been sold off and scrapped, we're going to have to rebuild for millions of dollars. It's going to cost millions of dollars to rebuild a fence that Biden sold off. Okay? Biden sold it off. Biden should be held criminally liable for what he's done. He should be held criminally liable for what he's done. It's a federal offense. Okay? It's unreal. Ruthie B says Monroe Doctrine treaty broken, did not follow rules. I agree. Did not follow the rules. It's too bad. It's sad. Michael Kearney is asking, can Biden pardon himself? So far, he's not done that. If Biden doesn't pardon himself or people in his administration, and honestly, I believe it's probably people in his administration that did it, because I don't believe Biden is even medically or neurologically capable of doing that. Okay? I think it's his people. No one knows who exactly is running this country right now. Nobody. Nobody knows. But quite honestly, I don't believe Biden is going to even pardon himself, unless somebody in his senior administration has a stamp that they type up a pardon and they stamp it with Joe Biden's signature. That's a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. And in that case, the Trump administration through the DOJ, I don't remember even the Attorney General's name that's going to be in the Trump administration from Florida. That lady who's going to take over as Attorney General could prosecute the Biden administration, the whole administration, not just Biden. She could actually prosecute the entire Biden administration, including Kamala Harris. Because Biden did, and we have him on audio and video telling the country that Kamala Harris was put in charge of the border. If that's the case, she could be prosecuted for not doing her job. Not doing her job. Richard Smith says he can't imagine old Joe in regular prison anyway. No, I can't either, honestly. But somebody has to set the example. Somebody has to set the example. Okay? It would do everybody good. It would do the entire country good to see the Biden administration be arrested and put behind bars and tried for felony crimes. Tried for felony crimes. And that's the way it is. Okay? It would do everybody good to understand, hey, it doesn't matter where you are in your life, it doesn't matter where you are in the government, you can be held liable for your actions. Okay? George Rashad says, when the dominoes start to fall, all of them will go down. And I hope you're right, George. I hope you're absolutely right. Yes, it would be, Miss Constitutional Rights is in the chat saying it would be good to see them behind bars. I totally agree. Okay? But that's what's going on at the border. The Mexican officials have started slowing down the onslaught of the illegal aliens getting through the border. The Mexican government has also stopped that huge caravan that was on their way from Central America to the U.S.-Mexican border. Okay? They've been stopped. They won't cross this border. Okay? They know what's going to happen if they do. Okay? Already, our Border Patrol and Customs Border Enforcement has already been cracking the whip. Even though Biden's still in charge, or his administration is still in charge. Customs Border Protection and the Border Patrol, according to people that I've spoken to, have already started slowing it down and trying to stop it. Okay? Tom Homan, being the border czar, has already put measures in place to slow it down. Okay? Now, the fifth thing that I want to speak about in terms of the things that Mr. Trump has said, President Trump has said he's going to do on day one. Quote, I would direct the United States military to establish an Iron Dome system to protect the American skies. I believe he's already started doing that because the United States military is already gearing up to do that. Okay? Again, President Trump is not even president yet. But President Trump has already got people in charge that are setting it up. Number 6, he said, I will put an end to the chaos in the Middle East and end the war in Ukraine and prevent World War III. Yesterday, President Trump held a news conference where he said that President Putin couldn't wait to have a meeting with President Trump. President Trump has already started the whole wheel in motion. Okay? The wheels are already in motion to get things at the border stopped and to make sure the Ukraine war is going to stop as well. Trump has said he's going to stop the war day one, or even before President Trump takes office. He's already been doing that. However, I want to tell you this, and I think I mentioned this on last night's program. Putin attacked Kiev, Ukraine, the capital of Ukraine, yesterday. Sent high-flying missiles into Ukraine, blowing out the sides of apartments in Ukraine where people live. Total destruction of apartments in Ukraine. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for that. Millions of people have already died in Ukraine as a result of President Putin attacking Ukraine. And there's been some discussion why Putin would do that. Putin wanted to take back Ukraine. There was a separatist thing going on with parts of Russia after President Reagan brought down the Berlin Wall. There were some countries that seceded from the USSR. The former United Soviet Republic. A lot of countries seceded from the USSR. Putin is in bad health. Putin has a limited time to live. Putin has cancer, and it's eating him alive. Now, Leia says my volume is too low. She's having a hard time struggling to hear me. I'm sorry about that. I'm very sorry you're having trouble hearing us. Okay? I'm going to try to speak more closely to the microphone here. Just a second, I'm trying to increase the volume of this microphone as well. Hopefully that does it. I just increased the microphone strength here. How's this? Can you hear me now, Leia? Don Patoka says it's 5 by 5 there in Salt Lake City where Don Patoka lives. How's the volume now, guys? Can everybody hear me now? Juvie Joe is asking Leia if she has Bluetooth headphones. Yes, sometimes that does help. 100% over where Ruthie is. 2 thumbs up, ears up, Michael Kearney says. Don Patoga says 5x5 still. That's great. I appreciate that, guys. Anyway, Putin took back parts, or tried to take back parts that used to be part of the Soviet Union. Okay? Tried that with Ukraine. Now, there are other parts of that area that Putin's trying to take back. You want to take back Poland next. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to do that. There are other parts of that area that are also ruled by communists that are in lockstep with Putin. Okay? Those countries may go back to Russia without a fight. However, Ukraine was not one of them. Ukraine wasn't one of them. Why? Because the United States government, the CIA, interfered in Ukraine. The United States government set Ukraine up. Okay? Set Ukraine up with the government to support or partially support the United States. Okay? Now, in setting that up, they put a puppet in charge of Ukraine in terms of Zelensky being president. Zelensky was a comedian. That's all he was. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he runs for president of Ukraine, and he won. I believe it was, and I'm sorry to say this, but it was a trumped-up election. It has nothing to do with President Trump at all. The CIA set Zelensky up as president of Ukraine. Now, in doing that, Ukraine has always been a very evil country. Ukraine has always been an illegal country. Michael Kearney's asking Romania. Romania was also part of the Soviet bloc. And if Putin had had his way, he would have taken all those countries and brought them back under the Soviet banner. Now that President Trump is taking office, if he is allowed to take office, and I'll talk about that again in a minute, President Trump's idea is to prevent Putin from taking any other countries under the banner of the Soviet Union again. It's not going to happen. There will be no more wars. Okay? President Trump didn't have wars when he was the president before, but this idiot Biden started wars. Israel and in Ukraine. And the Biden administration's also taken money from Ukraine and put it in their own pockets. Okay? I have only to go back to the point in time when Biden was vice president. What did Biden do? He made a trip to Ukraine and tried to set up a deal where Ukraine would pay him. But in order for Ukraine to get any money from the United States, Biden said, you need to get rid of your prosecutor. Ukraine didn't want to do that. But Ukraine ended up firing their prosecutor. And all of a sudden, Biden promises Ukraine money from the United States. When Ukraine kind of vacillated there, saying, how do we know that you can get your president, who at the time was Obama, to pay Ukraine money? Oh, don't worry, Obama's a good friend of mine. I'll get him to do it. And that's exactly what happened. Okay? Ukraine got money. Ukraine got their money. And as a result, the money that was paid Ukraine filtered its way back into the pockets of Biden. The money from the United States taxpayers funneled its way over Ukraine, and Ukraine funneled the money back into Biden's pockets. Okay? Another situation that happened there with Biden and his son, Hunter. Hunter was given a position within the administration of an oil company. Okay? Remember that oil company? Well, guess what? Hunter Biden had no experience with being in a position or even a stockholder with Burisma, the oil company. But Hunter Biden was put there. And Ukraine was paying Hunter Biden, to be there. Millions of dollars from the United States were funneled into Ukraine, and Hunter Biden was getting paid by Burisma and the country and putting it in Hunter Biden's pockets. Okay? It's huge. It's huge. And this has been going on for years. Years. Probably 6 years. Okay? Biden has also been paying Ukraine for the past 4 years. Trillions of dollars have filtered their way into Ukraine during the past 4 years. Okay? It hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. But now, President Trump is basically in charge. And everybody knows it. World leaders around the world know that. And they want to work with President Trump. They have said that they don't want to work with Biden. And in fact, when Biden traveled to Europe this last time, he was almost not even visible. Not even visible, because he's inept. Biden's dementia had been setting in for the past 4 years, and his dementia started taking over even before he took over as president. And it's got progressively worse. Now at this point in time, Joseph Robinette Biden is basically a dumbbell. He's being held in place by a puppet master. That puppet master is George Soros and Barack Hussein Obama. Okay? Those two men are what's keeping Joseph Robinette and Biden in place. And at this point in time, those very people, and possibly even others in Europe, they're high up in the elite status, are trying to keep President Trump from taking office. Because they know that President Trump will stop what's going on. And they want to take over the United States. Okay? We talked about that as well. Now, we talked about the United Nations. Okay? The United Nations has its blue hats, its military, all over the United States and even Canada. It's a well-known fact. The Chinese also have infiltrated Canada and the United States. It's happened. They are trying to keep President Trump from taking office. Because then, if they can keep Trump from taking office, they will have control of the United States. The UN has been trying to control the United States since 1940. The United Nations have been trying to take control of the United States even since 1940. And when the United States government allowed the UN to come into the United States and build a building and have a building in New York City, once they got that building in place in New York City, the huge plaza that they have, they've been trying to filter UN troops, UN police officers. Yes, the United Nations has its own police officers. Okay? They have filtered their way throughout the United States and even over into Salt Lake City. There is what they called an athletic arena called the Salt Palace in Salt Lake City, downtown Salt Lake City. It was an arena. It's a huge public arena. They had ice skating there at one time. They had a basketball team playing there at one time in the Salt Palace. And now that basketball team is now playing over in the Delta Arena, a separate place. Also, they had community events that took place in the Salt Palace. What happened there? Back approximately 2018, the Salt Lake City Council and the Salt Lake County gave the United Nations the Salt Palace. Gave the United Nations a Salt Palace. And when I heard that, The same week that they did that, I went over to the Salt Palace. Let me find a picture of the Salt Palace so I can put it up here. Just a second, I'm looking for this pic. There it is. Just a second, Mr. Trump. We'll have you back in just a minute. This is a picture of the downtown Salt Lake City Salt Palace. Okay? About 2018, the Salt Lake City Council and the county supervisors gave the Salt Palace, which is now a convention center basically, gave it to the United Nations. When I found that out, I went here. When I approached the door, there was a United Nations police officer standing at the door, dressed in blue, light blue uniform, pants and shirt. And on the shoulder, it had police, United Nations patch on the shoulder. And yes, he was armed. Okay? Now, I told him that I wanted to speak to someone about the United Nations gaining control of the Salt Palace. And he said, you cannot cross into the Salt Palace because once you do, your U.S. rights to be here in the United States do not apply to the Salt Palace. Once you cross over the threshold and come into the Salt Palace, you've lost your rights. You no longer have your U.S. rights in the Salt Palace. It's now a United Nations building. Okay? That pissed me off. That really pissed me off. But he would not let me cross in there, and he would not let me talk to anybody who's in charge of the Salt Palace now. So I found out that the United Nations has control of the Salt Palace, and I found out why. The next thing I did, I wanted to talk to the mayor of Salt Lake City. We have a gay mayor in Salt Lake City. I went over to talk to her, and she refused to talk to me. The mayor of Salt Lake City refused to talk to me. None of the city council were allowed to talk to me either. Isn't that something? The city council of Salt Lake City wouldn't talk about it. Even the commissioners of the county would not talk to me about the paperwork that allowed the United Nations to take over. They wouldn't allow anybody to talk about it. I tried. Don Patoka says it's not just you, Ron. Oh, I know that. I know it's not just me. But I tried. I wanted to get to the bottom of it. In fact, I created such a stir that I was not allowed to go to the press either. I tried to talk to the Salt Lake Tribune. I tried to talk to Deseret News. They would not interview me nor let me speak to a reporter. Okay? They put a muzzle on me. And yes, it's a beautiful building, guys. It's a huge building. The building occupies one side of State Street. I'm sorry, not State Street. I can't even remember the name of the street the Salt Palace is on. It's like Main Street. I think it's on Main Street in Salt Lake City. It entires one side of the block, and then it occupies the entire block. Okay? The Salt Palace occupies the entire block, front and back. Okay? It's incredible. It's a huge building. There's actually a trinket store inside the Salt Palace where you can buy things representing Utah and Salt Lake. Okay? It's a tourism store, basically. But I was not even allowed to go in to talk to anybody about what's going on in the Salt Palace at all. And yes, I know there have been activities going on at the Salt Palace. Okay? They're still getting money. The United Nations charges money for groups to use the Salt Palace. It used to be part of the Salt Lake City. It's not. Okay? But the UN took it over. Don Patoka said, made a big stink in Salt Lake City. I did. In fact, I don't remember who it was in Salt Lake City that said, oh, you don't know what's going on because you're a newbie to Salt Lake. At that time, I had been living in Salt Lake 7 years. I've been living there at least 7 years, going on 8. But they said, oh, you don't know what's going on because you haven't lived here long enough. Really? I believe in the United States government. I believe we have a right to know what's going on. And yet, our own city council and the county of Salt Lake doesn't want to talk. And the United Nations doesn't want to talk either. But they took over the Salt Palace. Okay? It's unreal what's been going on. The United Nations have been trying to take over this country since day one when they first entered the country in New York. Back when Trump was president before, he had talked about throwing the United Nations out of this country, and I still hope that's one of his goals. Lately, he's not said anything about it. But I hope that President Trump throws the United Nations out of this country, including people in New York and the Salt Palace and anywhere else that they've taken over and made residents. They need to be forced to leave this country. They need to force their troops also to evacuate this country and never come back. Period. Richard Smith says, is there still such thing as diplomatic immunity? Oh yeah, it still exists. But if President Trump or a United States president ordered the United Nations be thrown out of this country, the president could do it. And our military would force their hands. Okay? This would also put an end to all the chaos that the United States have been doing since they entered the United States, I believe it was at first 1950. They started trying to get into the United States in 1940, and I think it was sometime in the 50s that they finally established themselves in a building in downtown New York City. And now they're in other parts of the United States, including Salt Lake City. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. But President Trump said he'd put an end to chaos in the Middle East, and the war in Ukraine would end. And he would prevent World War III. Right now, the United States and other countries are on the brink of World War. We're literally seconds. We're literally seconds on the clock for being in World War III. And in fact, some people are already saying that we're already in World War III. Already in World War III. We have U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine. We have U.S. troops down in the Gaza Strip. We have U.S. troops in the Gaza Strip. It would not surprise me to learn that we have U.S. troops in Israel. Now, I wouldn't even mind that. But I know for a fact that we had U.S. troops, U.S. Navy Seabees building a great big huge pier off of the Gaza Strip. Now, that pier disappeared. Storms and stuff eroded the pier. It's gone. It's gone. The guys, this chaos can stop. It can stop. Michael Kearney says we have U.S. troops in Syria. You're right. We do. We have a United States Air Force base in Syria. Did you guys know that? We have a United States Air Force base in Syria. We have United States military bases all throughout this world. Literally. I believe we still have a military base in Iraq. We literally gave away billions of dollars in machinery in Afghanistan. We built one of the largest U.S. Air Force bases in the world in Afghanistan. Why? Because then we could monitor what China was doing. It was a hop, skip, and a jump from China. Biden gave that away. Biden gave it away. He left U.S. military troops in Afghanistan. Now they are hostages. They're hostages. He left American citizens there. They're hostages. Billions of dollars in equipment on the ground. Incredible what this president's done. It's called treason. It's called treason. Michael Kearney says sloppy giveaway. I agree. Okay? Richard Smith says World War III was starting during Desert Storm. I think you're probably right. Renee Sevey says, do we have enough to defend the mainland? President Trump, one of his goals was put up a dome, an iron dome, just like he had arranged over in Israel. There is an iron dome right now in Israel to protect Israel from that wonderful place over in Iran. Because as you remember, Iran launched missiles into Israel. And so we set up an iron dome over there, operated by the U.S. military, by the way. Operated by the U.S. military. And President Trump said he's going to set up an iron dome around the U.S. to protect the United States. And I believe he'd also protect Canada. Okay? President Trump has said that he wants to take Canada. If the Canadian government will not cooperate with the government of the United States, President Trump said he would access Canada and make Canada the 51st state. And make Mexico, if the Mexican people, the authorities in Mexico did not toe the line, he would take over Mexico and make Mexico the 52nd state. Okay? And yes, a lot of people would like that. I know a lot of people that would like that. They would do anything to have that happen. They would do anything to make that happen. And even those of you who are Canadians here in the chat, I'm sure you have had times when you thought how great it would be to be part of the United States. Okay? It's incredible. It's incredible. I don't think Canada would ever become one of the 50 states, one of the 51st states. Don Pateau says, annex them? Yes, annex them. Okay? President Trump said that about 2 weeks ago. President Trump said that about 2 weeks ago. And I believe he would do it. President Trump is a president who doesn't tolerate trash. He doesn't tolerate crap going on at all. And yet, that is what's happened here in the United States. That is what's happened here in the United States during the Biden administration. Okay? This country's gotten kicked around. This country's gotten totally kicked around. That's because I believe the Biden administration is part of the third administration of Obama. Okay? Biden was just a puppet. Sage Pup says we usually have 2,000 troops in Syria, and we just sent 600 more troops in the past few weeks. You're right. You're right. Michael Kearney says that Ron, that Iron Dome couldn't stop those supersonic missiles from Russia. I have a feeling you're right. Okay? The United States doesn't have anything like the Russian supersonic missile. We've been working on it for some time, but I don't believe the United States has any supersonic missiles. It would be great to know. Richard Smith says he already has an American flag in his window. That's cool. Heidi Pedrick says she's very fond of British Columbia. I am too. She all but grew up there. Well, Heidi, that's wild. Anyway, one other point when it comes to President Trump. One of his goals is that he was looking forward to his meeting with Russian President Putin to find a solution to the war in Ukraine. Okay? He was looking forward to his meeting with President Putin, just as President Putin said this week that he was looking forward to his meeting with President Trump to resolve the solution to Ukraine. Now, right before Christmas, Biden or his henchmen within the government sent a huge multi-million-dollar deal, money, probably on a pallet, to Ukraine. Sent more money into Ukraine. It's unreal what this president would do. Unreal. It's unreal what Biden would do. But he knows for a fact that the Ukrainian officials are laundering that money back to Biden. We know that for a fact as well. At some point in time when Trump takes over, the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate have the evidence of what's been going on. And heads will roll. Heads will roll. Now, we can't go after and jail Hunter Biden. But we can bring him in and have him testify under oath to the U.S. Congress. If Hunter Biden refuses to testify at that point in time, the U.S. Congress could hold Biden in contempt, could hold Hunter Biden in contempt and jail Hunter Biden. If Hunter Biden lies to the Congress, the U.S. Congress can put him in handcuffs and haul him off to a federal penitentiary. One of the other things that's going on that you may or may not have heard about is the January 6th committee, mostly Democrats, with only 2 Republicans. One of those Republicans was Liz Cheney from Montana, who used to be U.S. Congressman from Montana. Liz Cheney and Pencil Neck Adam Schiff from San Francisco destroyed all the documents from the January 6th committee. All the documents from the January 6th committee. January 6th committee led to the jail or the led to the incarceration of U.S. citizens in federal penitentiaries right now. Liz Cheney and Adam Schiff destroyed documents. But one up. Adam Schiff, former congressman from San Francisco, has resigned from the U.S. Congress because he won a seat in the U.S. Senate. So he had to resign his seat in U.S. Congress. Adam Schiff destroyed documents as well. But before he destroyed documents, still on the committee, he authored false information. Authored false information that he read from paperwork in front of him to the January 6th committee. Adam Schiff is a liar. Adam Schiff is a liar. He's also one of those citizens here in the United States that violated people's rights, violated the law. The entire January 6th committee, except for one person, could be held in contempt of court. Could be held in contempt of court, contempt of Congress, and they can be removed. They could be removed. It's unreal what they've done. It's literally unreal what they've done. It seems like they've gotten away with murder. They've gotten away with murder. At least they think they have. Every one of them needs to go away. Each and every one of the people on the January 6th committee need to be incarcerated. They need to be arrested immediately. They violated people's rights. They violated the rights of the American people, and they violated the law. Plain and simple. They held what shall I say? They held briefings in skiffs where they were given information illegally. Another violation of law. Ruthie says, along with Pelosi and all other cronies, I agree. Schumer, Chuck Schumer of the United States Senate, he needs to also be arrested. Chuck Schumer is evil. Schumer is evil incarnate. Along with Mr. McConnell, who allegedly is a Republican. I believe he's a Republican in name only, making him, quote unquote, a rhino. He also needs to be arrested and put in jail. McConnell and Schumer are elderly. It's been reported that McConnell has fallen down and broken parts of his body in recent weeks. It's been reported that he's inept. He also has neurological problems. Chuck Schumer the same way. Now, there's also a U.S. congressman in Texas that for weeks has not been in any one session of Congress. Guess where they found her this past week? In a rest home. In a senior citizen facility with neurological problems. She does not even know who she is. She does not even know she's a member of Congress. She doesn't know anything. Okay? She's in a memory care facility in Texas. A sitting U.S. Congresswoman. These people, once they get into Congress, think they can just sit there and get paid. And that's basically what this woman has done. Or should I say, her family. Or even members of Congress may have known that she was there and covered it up. Our government has covered up a lot of things, including stuff like that. Chuck Schumer, McConnell, Pelosi, they need to go away. They need to go away in a big way. Okay? It's incredible. It's incredible what these people have gotten away with. Now, anyway, I want to thank everybody who's contributed to this program tonight, both monetarily and also in the chat here. Do you guys have any questions about anything we've been talking about? Ruthie B says term limits. I totally agree. There should be term limits. I'm hoping that this session of Congress, the 119th session of Congress, needs to put term limits on the docket and then make sure term limits are abided upon. This kind of stuff that's been going on must come to a screeching stop. Okay? Berlinda Mustafa says, pray for her. Her whole family has lost their minds. Some of my family have also lost their minds, including my ex-wife and some of my kids. Charlene Savant says, do we have a prison in Greenland? No, we don't. Not right now. But President Trump has been very seriously considering annexing Greenland. Greenland belongs to Norway or Denmark, from what I hear. President Trump wants to put a military base on Greenland. I think that's probably a great idea. We need a couple military bases there. We need a SAC base, an Air Force base there, and we also need a Navy base. We also need a Navy base because we are also helping protect the nations of Scandinavia. It would be very great to have an Air Force base and a Navy base in Greenland. Don Patoka says there's already an Air Force base in Greenland. I was not aware of that. But that's great. That's great. We may have a prison there because usually when we have an Air Force base or any kind, a military base, usually there is also a confinement facility there. So we may have a prison there. We may have a prison there. Don Patoka says at least was. True. True. Anyway, does anybody have any questions about what we've been talking about? I want to just briefly talk about George Washington. Okay? Many of you have seen this picture here. I have a picture like this in my living room. I have another one of George Washington kneeling down on a knee next to his horse on my wall here in my office. Okay? I want to talk about George Washington, the first president of the United States. George Washington was crossing the Delaware River on Christmas. On that dark, freezing night, almost 250 years ago, our first president set a standard for leadership that we would all do well to emulate. In the darkness in the frozen spindrift, a cargo boat groaned through the ice along the Delaware River. At the helm, a heroic shadow pointing toward the land. Behind him, 2,400 soldiers. Most are standing, biting their lips in the frozen air. Specks of ice dotting their reddened faces. The men had to cross a stretch of river no longer than 3 football fields. But the ice made even a small distance nearly insurmountable, uncrossable. When the men began their journey, they were pelted by very heavy rain and wind. Now it's nearly midnight, and the rain has become a brutal hurricane-like snowstorm. At this point in time, there was no turning back. To make matters worse, the men were exhausted and in need of food and better uniforms. For the past months before, they endured defeat after defeat, even losing a major city to the enemy. But the men trusted their leader. He considered canceling the attack as he brooded by a fire, but thought better of it. In his own words, quote, "As I was certain there was no making a retreat without being discovered and harassed on repassing the river, I determined to push on at all costs." So Washington loaded up his men with cases of ammunition, and they began their trek, stuffed into a 40-foot cargo boat designed to haul bulk goods to the markets of Philadelphia. Victory or death was the password. The 44-year-old journey had meticulously planned the attack. It had to be a surprise, which is why he thought choosing nighttime in particular. Christmas night. You no doubt have seen the painting that memorializes that frigid night on the river, Washington crossing the Delaware. A reminder that the man whose face we encounter every time we hold a dollar bill was instrumental to the freedom we hold in evidence today in our own lives. The men had to cross a stretch of river, no longer, like I said, than 3 football fields, and the ice made it almost impossible. The original plan was a 3-pronged attack, and it had to be abandoned when the weather prevented 2 Continental Army brigades from joining Washington's troops. But there was a spy in the ranks. To make matters worse, a spy embedded in Washington's army warned the British of Washington's plans. Fortunately, the news traveled slowly. Hessian Colonel Johann Rall, R.A.L.L., who was in charge of Trenton Garrison, received the news right as Washington and his men were crossing the river. Rall had become relaxed after a series of false alarms, so he didn't fully prepare for the attack. He said, let them come. Why defenses? We let them go at the bayonet. After reaching the New Jersey side of the Delaware River in the pre-dawn light, Washington and his men marched for 4 hours to Trenton, New Jersey, to an isolated garrison with roughly 1,400 Hessian troops, German mercenaries fighting for Britain. An unwelcome surprise happened. As they arrived at about 8 a.m., they surrounded the town and began the Battle of Trenton, New Jersey. The Americans counted on the possibility that the Germans would have celebrated Christmas with beer and party. Washington knew this. Before one of the battles, one of his officers wrote, quote, "They make a great deal of Christmas in Germany, and no doubt the Hessians would drink a great deal. Ah, he stands, sailor crew went going, and so this general watches rowing. He hastens, winter again grows cold. A wet crew gain Hessian stronghold. George can't lose the war with hands in. He's astern. So go alight, crew, and win. Go alight, crew, and win." And that's what happened. George Washington crossed the Delaware River, marched into Trenton, and took over. This was part of Washington's plan. Washington took over Trenton. Washington's troops grew very successful. And as a result of his leadership, he became the first president of the United States. That is what we need in our own lives today. We need people that stand up. We need people to stand up and do what's right. We need leaders that stand up and do what's right. Stand up for the truth. Standing up for the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I was going to talk about earthquakes. There's only one 5.6 earthquake. One 5.6 earthquake in the Legacy Islands in the South Pacific. South and west of Fiji. Okay? A large 5.6 earthquake. There have been a couple 4.9/5.0 large earthquakes. Okay? They've done nothing, no real damage at all. All the rest of the earthquakes around the world are 4s and 3s, and a lot of 2.0, 2.9. 2.0, 2.9 are minor earthquakes. 3.0, 3.9 are small earthquakes. 4.0, 4.9 are called moderate earthquakes, but USBS is calling them light. There's nothing light about a 4.0, 4.9 earthquake. Those cause damage. They cause damage. 5.0, 5.9 are considered very, very bad earthquakes. USBS is also calling those moderate earthquakes. I don't know why he's calling them moderate earthquakes. I don't get that. 5.0, 5.9 earthquakes cause a lot of damage, large damages, okay? They always will. And yet our agency is so backwards about going forward. They have now said what they're doing. They're not wanting to be honest with anybody, and they're not. But as this painting suggests, we need leaders to stand up and do what's right. We need leaders to stand up and do what's right, no matter what. We need a leader at the USGS. We need leaders all over this country. And I'm hoping beyond hope, that President Trump is allowed to become the 47th President of the United States. And there are people within the Democrat Communist Party that are still trying to stop him. They're still trying to stop him. Brothers and sisters, I appreciate you all being here with us tonight. We have 59 people watching our program. I love each and every one of you. I enjoy sharing information with you. Now, I want to share a scripture with you before we leave here tonight. As you know, I am a Christian man. I'm not a scholar, I'm just a gentleman. But I've been teaching the gospel of Jesus Christ for more years than I want to even admit to. Most of my life. I know the gospel of Jesus Christ is true. I have a testimony that Jesus Christ lives. He died for us. He's our Savior, our Redeemer, and King. When Peter was talking in the book of Acts, I've gone to Acts chapter 10. I'm going to start with verse 17. Now while Peter doubted in himself what his vision which he had seen could mean. Peter had been given a vision. Okay? Behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house and stood before the gate, and called and asked whether Simon, who is surnamed Peter, was lodged there. While Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, Behold, 3 men seek thee. Arise therefore and get thee down and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. Peter was given a vision of what to do. Peter was an apostle of God, apostle of Jesus Christ. He was given a vision. Many apostles and prophets today and in the scriptures were given specific duties. They were given visions of what they should do. It's called revelation. I believe even our leaders receive revelation from Heavenly Father. I believe sometimes they ignore it. But I believe President Trump is a Christian. I believe he knows what he needs to do. and he's doing it. I seen President Trump being prayed over by pastors. I seen him being prayed over by regular citizens here in the United States. I personally know of many other people, including myself, that have knelt down and offered prayers for peace in our country and for the safety of President Donald J. Trump. I believe President Trump is a wonderful man. Yes, he has these faults, as all men do. But President Trump is a good man. As Peter did, we all also need to do. We need to follow God. We need to follow the personal revelation that we've been given for our families. We need to follow the revelation that God has given us. And I know he's touched many of you. You need to follow on that revelation. You need to stand up and be counted. You need to stand up and be counted. Brothers and sisters, I've shown you a book that I have here, written by a prophet of God, Gordon B. Hinckley. It's called Stand for Something. Standing for something. We all need to stand for something, guys. We need to stand for something. We can heal our hearts. We can heal our country. We can heal our homes and our world. If we will but listen to God. If we will but stand for something and listen to God. And let God help us in our own lives and in the lives of our country. Okay? Please, folks, please heed that voice from heaven in your own life. Heed that voice in your own life. And I know for a fact that God will bless you for it. Brothers and sisters, I love you. But I also love Jesus Christ. I love our Heavenly Father. And I follow that still small voice in my own life. And I would ask all of you to do the same. Because that still small voice will lead you in the right paths. That still small voice will lead you in the right paths that we need to go. Okay? I ask the Lord to bless you. The Lord to be with you this day and always. Brothers and sisters, like I've said, I love you all very much. And I'm doing whatever I can to bless your lives as well as my own, and also bless our country. Okay? I'm doing everything I can to bless my life, yours, and the lives of our fellow citizens in this country. Listen to the still small voice. Ask yourself for revelation from God for your life and what you should do. Okay? Please do that. Please do that. Brothers and sisters, I love you like I said. I ask God to be with you this day and always. May you have the wherewithal to stand for something. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on the other side, brothers and sisters. Have a good night. See you tomorrow. Emergency Preparedness Friday.